Tolkien's literary greatness is unmatched. His books have sold over 100 million copies and fundamentally shaped the fantasy genre. What drove his success? He gave props to a small, obscure crew most folks have never heard of. The story begins at the University of Oxford. Tolkien was teaching Anglo-Saxon when he crossed paths with a fellow professor named C.S. Lewis. The two quickly bonded over a shared love of classical literature, mythology, and writing. The two professors both disliked modern literature. Lewis told Tolkien, "If they're not writing the stories we want to read, we'll just have to write them ourselves." They began exchanging their tales with one another, and then they came up with a brilliant plan. They decided to start an informal literary group with other like-minded thinkers. It consisted of 12 or so members, all united by a love of literature, writing, and mythology. They called the group the Inklings, and their goal was to make fiction great again. The gatherings were casual, often in pubs, but the discussions were intense. One member put it this way: "We were no mutual admiration society. Praise for good work was unstinted, but censure for bad work was brutally frank. The Inklings weren't for the soft of heart." Tolkien thrived in the group's dynamic. It was a brotherhood of educated men, experts in language, literature, and theology, who were brutally honest. He showed up to their weekly meetups for over 10 years, sharing early versions of both The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. Without the Inklings, The Lord of the Rings might never have been completed. Reflecting on how the group, and especially his friend C.S. Lewis, pushed him forward, Tolkien wrote, "Only by his support and friendship did I ever struggle to the end of the labor." It was perfectly fitting that Tolkien dedicated the first edition of Lord of the Rings to the Inklings. The bedrock of his career was a brotherhood of like-minded men who challenged him, encouraged him, and held him accountable. The Inklings reveal the essence of Tolkien's brilliance. He was imaginative, gifted, and sharp. But above all, he had great friends. His genius was forged under the rigorous disciplines of reading, writing, and seeking help from brutally honest peers. Success isn't just about raw talent. It's about surrounding yourself with a solid group of honest, principled people and being humble enough to seek their input. Pair that with the discipline to put in the work, and you've got the recipe for greatness.